ask it?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. There are many spiritual masters who have come to teach and give blessings or darshan in the Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas area over the last few years. And we have been told by some that this area plays a key role in the planetary shift. We know that you have mentioned certain geographical areas having a particular function or significance. Can you give us more clarity about this subject? Is there any particular practice or seva we should be doing in Dallas, Fort Worth, or Texas for our community other than the sadhanas you have been teaching us about over the last few weeks?
Could you repeat the question?
You repeat it. Vikram's repeating it.
We don't believe. You know you maybe US month. Is there any particular or seva together? But our coming what was the last week?
Yes, there are definitely areas around the which have very special energies because they represent some kind of points on the human body. Just like we have acupressure points, there are points for the planet also. These are places which have special energies, especially the places where the pyramids are located, where there is Stonehenge, and where the Oneness Temple is. And there are many such places around the planet. These are akin to the acupressure points on the human body. And the other thing is they have probably special magnetic fields as well as the way the soil is constituted there and the geographical formation which we call Vastu. So there are many factors which make a place special, and certainly the places that you mentioned are very special places. There's no doubt about that. Now, people who live in special places are likely to make faster progress, and their blessings also are likely to be more powerful. In fact, in India, we have noticed that in special places, the blessing is exceptionally powerful, and people get very good experiences. So that is a fact. Though, of course, the phenomenon can work in any part of the world, there are some special places, and the places that you mentioned are in fact special places. Now, one of the things that you could do other than the normal sadhanas we have described is, see, this awakening is not going to be through individual effort, but through collective effort. That must be understood. To become awakened through individual effort, one must not have any problems, financial problems, health problems, relationship problems. You should be free of these problems. And there should be no worldly desires and no craving whatsoever. Only then you could be awakened as an individual. But now, what we are trying to do is we are not asking you to be free of all problems, nor are we asking you to be free of all craving or desires or renounce the world. We are telling you you could be in the thick of the world and still make it. Now, why is this possible? Because fundamentally 3 cycles are coming to a close. One is the 5,000-year-old cycle, which we call Kali Yuga in India. That is coming to a close in 2012. And we have another cycle called the 26,400-year cycle, which is supposed to contain all the yugas. That is coming to an end. And also we have another cycle called the 650,000-year cycle. That also is coming to an end in 2012. So 3 cycles are coming to an end, which is a very, very rare event. And not only that, in India, we are Hindus, we believe that the universe is about 13.7 billion years old, and that its lifetime is another 13.7 billion years. It is supposed to emerge from an infinitesimally small point, which we call the Bindu, probably much more smaller than even an electron, so very small, and it's called the Bindu. And the whole universe is supposed to emerge from that little point, and we say the one appears as the many. We do not say that the one has become the many, we say the one has become the many. And now it has taken all this time for the universe to come up to this point, and the universe is middle-aged. And according to us, the universe has been building a house, a grand house, which we call the universe, and it's time for us humans to enter that house. We call this Griha Pravesh, that is, we have a ceremony and then we enter the house to live happily in the house. So this is one such point, 2012, where the universe has come of age, it's middle-aged, and it's high time for us to enter the house and to start living, not existing. All these years we have been existing, but now we are going to start living. So that's why this is going to happen. But then there's one little clause. It has to be group seeking. You must work as groups to get there. You cannot work as individuals seeking your own enlightenment. That is not possible. So that is why people in Dallas and other important places, you must quickly form groups of people. Like the group that is sitting in front of me, groups of people. And you must do what we call group sadhana, meditating together and praying together, which is much, much more powerful than working on yourself individually, which also could be done. And the other thing is, you must invite people who are not blessing givers, who do not know about the moment, call them, and try to sort out their problems. They need not have to join the movement or become blessing givers, but then you should learn to help others with their financial problems or health problems or whatever problems there are. You must start with problems as such. So collectively, if you give a diksha, a blessing, collectively if you meditate with them, collectively if you pray for them, you are going to watch miracles. That in turn will give you a lot of strength and faith, and not only that, the blessing itself will start flowing through you very, very powerfully, and your own state will get altered. That is the most important sadhana. That is the collective sadhana, where you're going to start by helping people. And before your very eyes, you'll see miracles happening. That will become your strength, and that would prepare you for 2012. So that is the answer for the first question. As we go into more scripts, I will go into greater depth. So now, could we move on to the second question?
Yes. Is there any new or more current information you want to share with us about how we prepare for giving each blessing or the intent we should be holding?
Yes. What you should do is, you must first of all, by watching the blessing, you must clearly become aware that the divine is there, which is your own higher self, from which the divine energies are flowing through you onto the other person. You are more like a wire connecting the divine with the other person. The divine is in you as the higher self. Now you must first become aware of this connection, and then as you become more and more aware, you must learn to talk to the divine. Just like you talk to your father or mother or your friend or your son or your daughter, not to something called the divine, then it doesn't work. The divine must be reduced to a person. It could be any kind of person that you like, addressing the divine as your father or friend, or sometimes in India people even address the divine as their own servant also. It's very amazing. The question is there a bond? So there must be a bond between you and the divine, and it must fit into known human frameworks. Simply using the term God may not be very helpful, because God you're not seen, and it's, how do you relate to God? You don't put him into the human mold. It's very difficult. So you have to choose whatever relationship is best in your life. For example, if your relationship with your mother is the best, then cast the divine as your mother. If it's very good with your father, as your father. If it's very good with your brother, as the brother, or as a friend. But whatever you do, there must be friendship between you and the divine. And not only that, you must cast the divine in a mode who's not very demanding, who's not putting fear into you, who's not awesome. If you portray your divine as somebody very awesome, you can be very sure you would not be able to relate. You have to reduce the divine to somebody who's very personal, who's very friendly, who will listen to you. We use the word in India, it's called idoktakari, that is one who does as bidden. It's the other way around. Not that the divine commands you, but you command the divine. You say, come on, give me money now, do this for me. In India, there are people who say, come on, wash dishes, and the dishes get washed. So because he's your friend, you can ask him anything, like asking your son, wash the dishes. So if you reduce the divine to a point where you could relate, then the relationship would start. But you want to place it in the heavens and say, oh God, you're so great, your light is so dazzling, I stand in fear and awe of you, then nothing is going to happen. And you can say, oh my God, I fear your punishment. Maybe you would throw me into some hellfire. Surely you want to kill. You have said teachings, you create your own God. God would respond to you the way you think of Him, the way you feel of Him, the way you conceive of Him. That's why we use these two words called Bhakta Paradina in India. That is, God is actually subservient to man. And Takari, as I said earlier, one who does as bidden. Now there's an Indian story of a famous man called Namdev who could effortlessly talk to God. Now, so it so happened that a few centuries earlier, when he was living somewhere in Delhi, the Muslim ruler came from the Sultan and cut a cow in front of him. Because the cow is very sacred for Hindus, he cut a cow and said, if you bring this cow back to life, I will spare your head. Otherwise, third day, I'm going to cut off your head. So this Namdev began to pray to his God. His God was Krishna and said, please, Krishna, come 3 days and bring life to this cow. Otherwise, my head will be gone. So 3 days later, Krishna came and the cow came back to life. The Sultan, the Muslim ruler came and said, I'm very pleased, and spared him. Then after he was gone, this Namdev questioned Krishna, why did you take 3 days? I was in great agony, in fear. And Krishna told him, you only told me, bring the cow back to life in 3 days. That's why I did it. So, completely depends on you, how you are going to talk to him, discuss with him. And in fact, Krishna was his friend. But still, because of the Sultan's fear, some of the words came out 3 days. So, had he told them instantly, then and there, it would have happened. So, it all depends upon how you are going to conceive of the divine. And then you must be able to walk and talk with the divine as often as possible. You must have a normal conversation. If you do that, you will see what's going to happen to you. You will see the power of the blessing, and you will see what kind of miracles will be taking place. This is a path on which you must move very, very fast. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very slow. Probably even sometimes when you could come to India, I will show you groups of people who go through this kind of a special process. You'll be amazed to see that in 3 days, they start living in 2012. 2012 is not a concept you are waiting for. It's already started. It's going on. To special groups of people, they are living in 2012. Just some people make it on the first day itself, in less than 6 hours. Some people make it on the second day, some on the third day. But most people, the third day is over. And those who do not make it, get home and soon get there. You could meet these people when you come to India. And the actual transition takes less than 3 minutes. In those 6 hours, there's a point of transition when they get connected. Once they're connected, all the states come to them. All the insights come to them. We do not keep pumping teachings into them. The teachings come out of them. They will often declare, I have no body. The body is there, but it is a body, not my body. And they would say, my mind is not my mind. It is functioning automatically. They are disconnected. And they would say, I don't exist. There's no person. There's no self. We don't teach these things. It comes out of them. And the exact transition takes less than 3 minutes. And very often, it's achieved in 6 hours. Padmasambhava, the great Buddhist teacher who took Buddhism from India into Tibet.
Or maybe it's just hanging out. It says we're still on.